Hi, welcome everyone to Simple Basic Costing. This is all for all aspiring young entrepreneurs. This is a supplementary to the module that I have already given you. If you are not comfortable in reading just the module, you need something. You need an explanatory video. So I'm making this. Okay, so first thing, before we begin your simple basic costing, please do not be afraid. I know math is a little bit daunting, but math was invented to help you, okay, not to make your lives harder. The key to basic arithmetic, algebra, or accounting is understanding. So today we are doing basic and simple accounting. Okay, so visual and auditory learners are all welcome here. So I know if you need someone to be explaining to you certain things, guiding you while you are doing your activities, I hope this will be able to help. Okay, so what are we going to do? The first thing would be the recipe. I will be showing you a sample recipe which we can do to apply our new costing skills. Second, I will be showing you some formulas that will help you compute for the cost of products. And then for the computation, after we compute for the cost, we will now compute for the price. Okay, so if you want to become a young entrepreneur, a baking or cooking entrepreneur, you would know how to properly put prices on your products. And lastly, our application, so you will be trying it yourself as well. Okay, I will be showing you two ways on how. Okay, so first, for the recipe for success, let's begin. This is a chocolate crinkle cookie recipe. It's also available in your baking manual, but since we are doing this ODL setup, you don't have the manuals yet. I am sharing to you this chocolate crinkle cookie recipe because this is not part of the recipes which we will be doing for this semester. I will be giving you something else. But if you want to do this at home, sure, why not? Okay, so I'm sharing you the recipe right now. Okay, so let's just park this in a bit to the formulas. Okay, so we call it the formula for success. Okay, once you understand it, everything about basic costing will seem so. Okay, there are three formulas for success. So the first one is easy. It's like basic counting. An example of this would be, what is the cost of eggs? When we ask you what is the cost of eggs, you would just ask how much is it per piece, and then you will add them up. Simple, right? So very simple. It's like basic counting. Now the moderate difficulty, it's like counting with a little bit of division and multiplication. So an example of this is, what is the cost of butter? Butter, 1 bar of butter is 1 cup. So what if you're not using 1 cup, you're using 1/2, 3/4, or 1/4? So you will need to do a little bit of division and multiplication. And the advanced is like counting with division, multiplication, and a little bit of conversion. I hope you remember your conversion from your science classes. So we're going to deal with grams, price per gram, ml, and pieces. So an example of this would be, what is the cost of flour? So let's go to the easy first. The recipe calls for 2 eggs. How much will the eggs cost you in the recipe? First, let's take the market price. You go to the grocery, or you log on to online shopping, and you order a dozen eggs. Your dozen eggs costs you 96 pesos. So what do you do to get the cost of eggs? You divide the price with the number of eggs, and then you get the price per egg. Okay, you get the price per egg, and when you do this, 96 divided by 12 will get you 8 pesos. So that's 8 pesos per egg. And now your recipe calls for 2 pieces of egg. So what do? We just multiply the unit cost. Unit just means the smallest quantity, so it can be by piece, by gram, or by ml. So the piece is 8 pesos, you need 2, so you multiply 8 pesos by 2, you get 16. Okay, so the unit cost the cost of eggs is equal to the unit cost multiplied by the recipe quantity. So that's 8 times 2 equals 16 is the cost of eggs. Now let's go to the moderate difficulty. The moderate difficulty, the recipe calls for half a cup of butter. Okay, so half a cup of butter, how much will the butter cost you in the recipe? Let's go first for the first step, market price. So 130 pesos for a block of butter. A block of butter is usually 227 grams. Okay, so a block of butter is also equal to 1 cup of butter. Okay, so that's 130 pesos. Now we need to calculate for the unit cost. How are we going to do this? That is market cost, 130, divided by the number of units. Our units right now is grams, not pieces, but grams. Okay, so the smallest quantity, the smallest measurement of your quantity for butter is grams. Okay, for solid it will be grams. For liquid ingredients it will be ml. Okay, so we divide 130 divided it by 227 grams, we get 0.57 pesos per gram. So that's how much your butter costs per gram. But how much are you using in the recipe? Okay, so we need to convert this. We need to make it into grams as well. So the measurement conversion, half a cup of butter is 113.5 grams. How did I get this? 1 block of butter or 1 cup of butter is 227 grams. So just divide it by 2, you get half a cup of butter, that is 113.5. And now what do we do to get the cost? To get the cost of the half cup of butter, we just multiply 0.57 with 113.5. Okay, once we multiply this, we get the cost of the half cup of butter, which is 71.25 pesos. Okay, now let's move on with the advanced difficulty. Okay, just take a deep breath. If you are starting to get overwhelmed, you can hit pause if you want to just take it all in, or rewind to understand some concepts better. All right. The recipe calls for 2 1/4 cups all-purpose flour. How much will the flour cost you in the recipe? Okay, so I just tweaked it a bit. Instead of just using a whole number, I wanted to put a fraction there so that we can practice on how we can work with whole numbers with fractions as well. Okay, so market price. You go to the grocery, you order online, and there are many different prices. So I just took one that is about in the midpoint so that we can practice. So 145 pesos per 800 gram pack of flour. Okay, so that is the price. How are we going to calculate for the unit cost? So market price again divided by the number of units. So 145 pesos divided by 800 grams to get the price per gram. So it's 0.18 or 18 cents per gram. So that's 0.18 pesos per gram of flour. And our recipe quantity calls for 2 1/4 cups of flour. We need 2 1/4 cups of flour. So how are we going to calculate that? Okay, so to calculate that, we need to use the help of Google. Okay, we need to Google how much is 1 cup of flour in grams, because the difference is we can't just always say that 1 cup is 250. Okay, 250 is for water. That's 250 ml. However, for other things with different densities, the grams or the weight will become different. Okay, so the measurement conversion, let's convert the cups into grams. Just type it into Google. 1 cup of flour is equal to what in grams? Google tells us that it's 120 grams for 1 cup of flour. So what do we need to do? We need to get the recipe quantity into grams. You just multiply it. So 2 1/4 cups is equal to 270 grams. Okay, now how do we calculate for the 2 1/4 cups in peso? So we just multiply that to our unit cost. Our unit cost is 0.18 pesos per gram. We multiply that to 270 grams. We get 48.60 pesos. So the cost of flour in this particular recipe, when you use 2 1/4 cups of flour, is 48.60 pesos. Alright. Now, for the computation, okay, the computation for success. Even before you begin, you claim it. You know that you will be successful because I know you will, okay? For costing and pricing, let's unlock the terms first. When we say costing, that means that this is the amount of money that you used to create the recipe. So these are ingredients, materials to create that certain product. But when we say pricing, you're already putting a price on that particular product. And if you put a price on that particular product, you are already including profit. You are including sometimes tax. Okay, so that's when you put the final price. Okay, so what we were doing earlier was costing just for the ingredients. Okay, so now we have a formula to get to the pricing coming from costing. Okay, so the total cost. So the total cost, ingredients and materials, and then you add the packaging cost, because you can't just sell something on your hand and you give it to someone else. You need to package it properly. Okay, so now you need to add that and divide it by the yield. The yield is the number of products that you were able to produce with that specific recipe. Okay, so you will be getting the cost per product. And when you are calculating for the profit, you need the cost per product and you multiply it by the percent profit. Okay, the percent profit is not as difficult as it seems. Okay, the percent profit is what you decide. Okay, you will decide how much profit you want. For the food industry, it's usually minimum is 50%. Okay, minimum is 50%. You can decide 50% up to 300, 500%. It depends on you. Now, the pricing, there are other factors that involves influences pricing. You know, branding influences it. What else? Means social media, advertising. You know, a lot of things. But it is the same. Most likely the same product. Okay, so 50%. Usually we go for 100% profit. So that's double the cost. Okay, so we will show you later how we can apply that. And then when we are calculating for the final price, your profit in peso, what you calculated here, you add it to the cost per product and you get the final price. Okay, so for costing and pricing, so for the formula, let us apply it now. Earlier, we had easy, moderate, and advanced. And I placed here a packaging cost of 60 pesos. So we'll just add that up together. And we divide it by the yield. The yield for the chocolate crinkle cookies is 20 pieces. When we divide that, we have 9.79 pesos cost per cookie. And now let us calculate for the profit. When we are calculating for the profit, it's 9.79% times 100% profit. And when we're multiplying percent, you change it into decimal. Remember your math lessons. 9.79 pesos times 100% profit will give you 9.79 pesos as well. And to calculate for the final sale price, you just add these two together. So 9.79 plus 9.79 will give you 19.56. Okay, so this is basic, simple accounting. However, we wanted to make it, more realistic. And how are we going to do this? When you make something, is it just the ingredients and just the packaging that you have costs before you sell? No, right? You have utilities. Okay, so how are we going to factor that in? If you are going to take business management in college, they will teach you how to compute for that in more detail, in more specific data. But here, how are we going to compute for it? We'll just put a percentage so that it will be easier for us. The percentage for adding other costs such as utilities and labor would be 9.79 plus 10% of your cost. 10% of your cost will already cover that all. That's a little bit more than to cover, okay? So 10% of 9.79 pesos, when you add that up to the cost, that will make it 10.77 pesos cookie cost with utilities. And then now you calculate for the final price per product. Again, you just add everything up in that column. 9.79 plus 10.77 will give you 20.56 as your final price. Okay, so the final price is 20 pesos per cookie. Not bad. Okay, where half of that is your... Alright, and now for the application. So, I want you to try it yourself. These are the steps on how you can apply basic costing successfully. First, you have to obtain the recipe. Make sure that the quantities and ingredients and measurements are accurate because you will be using that to calculate your cost. Second, you need to tabulate them clearly in a table so that you will see how much is the market cost, market quantity, and then calculate for the unit cost so that you can get the recipe cost. And lastly, you compute for, after the cost, you compute for the price. Two ways that you can do this. First, you can do it manually, okay, with pen and paper. You can draw the table, or you can do it per ingredient, or you can do it with the help of apps. If you want to try a number of apps, Microsoft Excel, Numbers, or Google Sheets and Numbers, if you are using Apple products, are great tools which can help you compute faster. Okay, so I will show you a clip on how we... This is the Microsoft Excel demonstration. So there is a template. So we just put colors there to make it nice and lively. So we put the name of the recipe, we put the number of cookies that are produced, so the yield, and then we put the ingredients in there, the recipe quantity. As you can see, the columns are already labeled. We have recipe quantity, market price, and the unit price that we will be computing for when we divide the market price with the market quantity, and then the converted recipe quantity. Okay, the converted recipe quantity is just the one that you have to Google. So 2 cups of flour here, 2 cups of flour, how much is that in grams? And then you just multiply unit price with the converted recipe quantity, you will get the recipe price. Okay, so I am filling up the table right here. Okay, I'm filling up with it with all the ingredients so that we can begin the costing. Okay, so now there, finally, and now we're going to fill up the market quantity, market price with our receipts, or Google. If you already have your ingredients at home, just Google the price, it will come up. Okay, and now we're inputting the formulas. As you can see, Excel will calculate it for you. Do you see what I am doing? Okay, after you input the formula, just drag it down and all the cells will have the same formula. Okay, I am clicking the cell and then putting multiplication sign, that is an asterisk, and then multiplying it with the converted recipe quantity. Okay, you just put an equal sign, select the cell, and input the formula. Just click the cell, put divide is a slash. If it's multiplication, you put a asterisk. Okay, and drag it down to get everything that you need. Right. And now, for the costing template, as you can see, I've placed here market quantity should be in terms of piece, grams, or ml. Your unit price should also be in piece, grams, or ml, the same as with your converted recipe quantity. So you get that. You get your market quantity from your receipt or from Google. 227 grams is 1 cup or 1 bar. It's 130, and once you input it, it automatically computes for you. That is the wonderful help of these apps, these computing apps, or your Excel sheet. Alright, and now for the converted recipe quantity, just add in 1/2 cup in grams. Okay, 1/2 cup in grams is 113.5. But how do we get that? You can even put it in 227 divided by 2, 113.5, and you get the recipe price automatically computed as 65. Alright, so there. I am Googling now all-purpose flour price. As you can see, for example, you already have it in the pantry and you don't know how much it costs, just get one of the prices here. You will see the labels anyway. Okay, so which brand did you buy, so that you can get the most accurate cost. And then you just add it here. Add the price here and add the quantity in grams. Okay, if it's 1 kilo, please don't put 1 kilo. It has to be grams. Okay, so you convert 1 kilo to grams. That's 1,000 grams. And then we just input everything in it. And then next we Google 1 cup. See, it already comes up. 1 cup flour in grams. 120 grams for 1 cup of flour. So just input it there in the converter. So 120 multiplied by 2, because your recipe uses 2. So that's 240 grams. Okay, so I already have a completed table here. Magic. Okay, I'll just copy paste it and put it here, and you will see my table transform and compute by itself so quickly, so painless. Okay, you won't even break a sweat, and your recipe price is here. Now I will just include my packaging cost. Packaging for cookies. So for example, the recipe quantity, it's for 20 cookies. Let's just make it exact for the purposes of a demonstration. And then it's 20 pieces for 60 pesos. Okay, and I'm just a little trying to organize a little bit. All right. Okay, there. So here we have 20 pesos as the packaging for cookies, and then we add it all in the recipe cost. Okay, so the yield is 20 pesos. Let us just compute that in a bit. Okay, we put some and drag this one down inside the parentheses. It will calculate the total for you. You don't need to press it one by one. Okay, so there, that is 252.03, and just click the cell, divide it by 20, and you get the price per, sorry, not the price, the cost per piece. Okay, when we move these, the decimal points, it will also round the numbers up for you. So the cost of cookie, sorry, please ignore the price per cookie there. Cost of the cookie is 12.60. Okay, now we're going to multiply it with the profit that I am including here. That is 100%. Okay, the 100% is, this one is 50. 50% is in decimal. That's 0.50. I am multiplying it by 1 to get 100%. So that is another 12.60. As you can see, I just placed an equal sign and removed the spaces. There, it computed 12.6. That is your profit. Just add your profit with the cost per cookie, the 12.6 again. You get 25.2, and that is your final price. This is without the utility cost. Okay, so now there we have it. I want you to try it yourselves. Okay, so now I have a gift for you. If you want to try out the Excel and you want it to be pretty, and you want the formulas already included, I am including a link to the Excel sheet as a template in your Google Classroom, or in the description down below, so that you can use that to compute for anything that you will be doing. So I hope that helps you. Okay, so thank you very much for listening to this discussion about costing. If you have any further concerns, you can just go over to the Need Help forum in your Google Classroom and just hit me up with a question there. If you don't want it to be seen by your classmates, you want a private consultation with me, go ahead and send me an email at vdgo@ecagh.edu.ph. All right, thank you very much, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.